United Arab Emirates, the largest of these emirates, Abu Dhabi, which comprises more than 3/4 of the federation's total land area, is the center of its oil industry and borders Saudi Arabia on the federation's southern and eastern borders. The port city of Dubai, located at the base of the mountainous Muzandam Peninsula, is the capital of the Emirate of Dubai, and is one of the region's most vital commercial and financial centers, housing hundreds of multinational corporations in a forest of skyscrapers. The smaller emirates of Sharjah, Al-Sharika, Ajman, Al Quwain, Al Kaywain, and Ras Al Khaimah, also occupy the peninsula, whose protrusion north toward Iran forms the Strait of Hormuz linking the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman. The Federation's seventh member, Al-Fujairah, faces the Gulf of Oman and is the only member of the Union with no frontage along the Persian Gulf. Historically the domain of individual Arab clans and families, the region now comprising the Emirates also has been influenced by Persian culture owing to its close proximity to Iran, and its porous maritime borders have for centuries invited migrants and traders from elsewhere. In the 18th century, Portugal and the Netherlands extended their holdings in the region but retreated with the growth of British naval power there. Following a series of truces with Britain in the 19th century, the Emirates united to form the Trucial States, also called Trucial Oman or the Trucial Sheikdoms. The states gained autonomy following World War II, 1939–45, when the Trucial States of Bahrain and Qatar declared independent statehood. The rest were formally united in 1971, with the city of Abu Dhabi serving as the capital. The stability of the federation has since been tested by rivalries between the families governing the larger states of Abu Dhabi and Dubai, though external events such as the Persian Gulf War, 1990–91, and an ongoing territorial dispute with Iran have served to strengthen the Emirates' political cohesion. The Emirates comprise a mixed environment of rocky desert, coastal plains and wetlands, and waterless mountains. The seashore is a haven for migratory waterfowl and draws birdwatchers from all over the world. The country's unspoiled beaches and opulent resorts also have drawn international travelers. Standing at a historic and geographic crossroads and made up of diverse nationalities and ethnic groups, the United Arab Emirates present a striking blend of ancient customs and modern technology, of cosmopolitanism and insularity, and of wealth and want. The rapid pace of modernization of the Emirates prompted travel writer Jonathan Rabin to note of the capital, the condition of Abu Dhabi was so evidently mint that it would not have been surprising to see adhering to the buildings bits of straw and polystyrene from the crates in which they had been packed. Land of the United Arab Emirate. The United Arab Emirates is slightly smaller in area than Portugal. It is bordered by Saudi Arabia to the west and south and by Oman to the east and northeast. The precise borders of the country have remained a matter of dispute. Despite a 1974 secret agreement between the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia said to have resolved their three border disputes, the agreement's legal standing is unclear. The United Arab Emirates claims a strip of coastline that borders Qatar to the northwest, which Saudi Arabia claims was ceded to it in the 1974 agreement. It likewise disputes Saudi claims over the Shayba oil field to the south, while Saudi Arabia, as well as Oman, has at times challenged the Emirates' claim on oases around the city of Al Ain. Since the early 1990s, moreover, the Emirates have been in a dispute with Iran over the ownership of three islands, Abu Musa and Greater and Lesser Tund, Anb al-Kubra and Anb al-Aghr. Relief. Nearly the entire country is desert, containing broad areas of sand. Some of the world's largest sand dunes are located east of Arda in the oases of Liwa. Important oases are at Al Ain about 100 miles, 160 kilometers east of Abu Dhabi. Along the eastern portion of the Muzandam Peninsula, the northern extension of the Ajar Mountains, also shared by Oman, offers the only other major relief feature. Elevations rise to about 6,500 feet, 2,000 meters, at their highest point. The Persian Gulf coast is broken by shoals and dotted with islands that offer shelter to small vessels. There are no natural deepwater harbors, however. Both Dubai's Port Rashid and the gigantic Port Jebel Ali, 20 miles, 32 kilometers southwest of Dubai City, are human-made, as are major ports in Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and Ras Al Khaimah. The coast of the Gulf of Oman is more regular and has three natural harbors, Dibba, Khor Fakkan, and Kalba. Drainage. The United Arab Emirates has no perennial streams nor any regularly occurring bodies of surface water. Precipitation, what little falls, is drained from the mountains in the form of seasonal wadis that terminate in inland salt flats, or sabkas, whose drainage is frequently blocked by the country's constantly shifting dunes. In the far west, the Mas Salt Flat extends southward into Saudi Arabia, and coastal sabkas, which are occasionally inundated by the waters of the Persian Gulf, lie in the areas around Abu Dhabi. The climate is hot and humid along the coast and is hotter still, but dry, in the interior. Rainfall averages only 4 to 6 inches, 100 to 150 millimeters, annually, though it fluctuates considerably from year to year. The average January temperature is 64 degrees Fahrenheit 18 degrees Celsius, while in July the temperature averages 91 degrees Fahrenheit 33 degrees Celsius. Summertime highs can reach 115 degrees Fahrenheit 46 degrees Celsius on the coast and 120 degrees Fahrenheit 49 degrees Celsius or more in the desert. In midwinter and early summer, winds known as the Shamal, Arabic, norther, blow from the north and northwest, bearing dust and sand. Plant and animal life. Because of the desert climate, vegetation is scanty and largely limited to the low shrubs that offer forage to nomadic herds, but millions of trees, notably mangroves, have been planted in Abu Dhabi and have provided habitats for various species. In the oases, date palms are raised together with alfalfa, lucerne. Fruits are grown, and the Al Ain oases east of Abu Dhabi are known for their mangoes. Animal life includes domesticated goats, sheep, and camels, together with cattle and poultry, which were introduced in more recent times. Wildlife consists of predators such as the caracal, sand cat, Felis margarita, and the rupels, Vulpes rapelli, and red foxes, larger animals such as the Arabian oryx and Arabian and Persian gazelles, smaller mammals such as the Cape hare, lesser jerboa, and various types of gerbil, and a variety of snakes and lizards. The Gulf waters harbor schools of mackerel, grouper, tuna, and porgies, as well as sharks and occasional whales. In the 1990s, the government initiated a conservation and management program to preserve and protect desert animal and plant life. Languages and religion. The official language of the United Arab Emirates is Arabic. Modern Standard Arabic is taught in schools, and most native Emiratis speak a dialect of Gulf Arabic that is generally similar to that spoken in surrounding countries. A number of languages are spoken among the expatriate community, including various dialects of Pashto, Hindi, Balochi, and Persian. English is also widely spoken. About 3/5 of the population is Muslim, of which roughly 4/5 belong to the Sunni branch of Islam. Shia minorities exist in Dubai and Sharjah. There are also small but growing numbers of Christians and Hindus in the country. Settlement patterns and demographic trends. The population of the United Arab Emirates is concentrated primarily in cities along both coasts, although the interior oasis settlement of Al Ain has grown into a major population center as well. Several emirates have exclaves within other emirates. The Federation's birth rate is one of the lowest among the Persian Gulf states, and the infant mortality rate has decreased substantially. Because of the large number of foreign workers, more than 2/3 of the population is male and about 3/4 of the population is younger than 45 years of age. The country's death rate is well below the world average, and the average life expectancy is about 79 years. The major causes of death are cardiovascular disease, accidents and poisonings, and cancer. Economy. The Federation's economy is dominated by the petroleum produced primarily in the Abu Dhabi Emirate. The wealthiest of the Emirates, Abu Dhabi contains one of the largest concentrations of the world's proven oil reserves and contributes a significant portion of the national budget. The Emirate of Dubai, whose economy is centered more on business than on oil, serves as a commercial and financial hub for the region and leads the country in economic diversification. Agriculture and fishing. Agricultural production, centered largely in the Emirates of Ras Al Khaimah and Fujairah, in the two exclaves of Ajman, and at Al Ain, has expanded considerably through the increased use of wells and pumps to provide water for irrigation. However, agriculture contributes only a small fraction of gross domestic product, GDP, and employs less than 1/10 of the workforce. Dates are a major crop, as are tomatoes, cucumbers, and eggplants, and the United Arab Emirates is nearly self-sufficient in fruit and vegetable production. The country also produces enough eggs, poultry, fish, and dairy products to meet its own needs but must import most other foodstuffs, notably grains. The Arid Lands Research Center at Al Ain experiments with raising crops in a desert environment. Most commercial fishing is concentrated in Al Quwain, and the Emirates have one of the largest fishing sectors in the Arab world. Resources and power oil was discovered in Abu Dhabi in 1958, and the government of that emirate owns a controlling interest in all oil-producing companies in the federation through the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, ADNOC. Abu Dhabi is responsible for about 95% of the country's oil production, and production of petroleum and natural gas contributes about one-third of the nation's GDP, even though the oil and gas sector employs only a tiny fraction of the workforce. The largest petroleum concessions are held by an ADNOC subsidiary, Abu Dhabi Marine Operating Company, ADMAOPCO, which is partially owned by British, French, and Japanese interests. One of the main offshore fields is located in Al Shif. Al Bundak offshore field is shared with neighboring Qatar but is operated by ADMAOPCO. A Japanese consortium operates an offshore rig at Al Mubaraz, and other offshore concessions are held by American companies. Onshore oil concessions are held by another ADNOC company, the Abu Dhabi Company for Onshore Oil Operations, which is likewise partially owned by American, French, Japanese, and British interests. Other concessions also are held by Japanese companies. Petroleum production in Dubai began in 1969. There are offshore oil fields at Aklfat, Fala, and Rashid. The emirate long maintained a controlling interest in its oil fields and took full control of oil production in 2007. At its peak, Dubai produced about one-sixth of the country's total output of petroleum. Production dwindled to a negligible amount, however, as the emirate diversified its economy. Sharjah began producing oil in 1974, another field, predominantly yielding natural gas, was discovered 6 years later. In 1984 oil production began off the shore of Ras Al Khaimah, in the Persian Gulf. The Federation's natural gas reserves are among the world's largest, and most fields are found in Abu Dhabi. In the late 1990s the United Arab Emirates began investing heavily to develop its natural gas sector, both for export and to fire domestic thermal power plants. Because it relies on energy-intensive technologies such as water desalination and air conditioning, and because subsidies on fuel have encouraged wasteful energy use, the United Arab Emirates has one of the world's highest per capita rates of energy consumption. Despite its large hydrocarbon reserves, rapidly increasing domestic demand driven by population growth and industrialization in the first decade of the 21st century forced the Emirates to import natural gas and to draw upon petroleum reserves at a fraction of the export price. To safeguard future hydrocarbon production, the Federation began to explore other sources for domestic energy. In 2009 the Emirates contracted the Korean Electric Power Company to build 4 nuclear reactors in the country by 2020. Abu Dhabi and Dubai also began to invest in renewable energy. In 2013 Abu Dhabi opened what, at the time, was one of the world's largest solar power plants, a 100-megawatt facility capable of powering up to 20,000 homes. Manufacturing The Emirates have attempted to diversify their economy to avoid complete dependence on oil, and manufacturing has played a significant part in that effort. A petrochemical industrial complex has been established at Al Ruwais, 140 miles, 225 kilometers southwest of Abu Dhabi city, with a petroleum refinery, a gas fractionation plant, and an ammonia and urea plant. Dubai's revenues have been invested in projects such as a dry dock and a trade center. Its first airport was expanded in the 2000s, while a second airport was built near the port of Jebel Ali, and additional hotels have been built, including the striking Burj Al Arab, Tower of the Arabs, which opened in the late 1990s. The Burj Khalifa Tower, skyscraper in Dubai City became the world's tallest building and the tallest freestanding structure when it opened in 2010. Sharjah has built a cement plant, a plastic pipe factory, and paint factories. Manufacturing accounts for less than 1/10 of GDP.